Hello everybody, Gray Seeker here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install Deepin on encrypted LVM. The problem with Deepin is that it does not provide you with an option to install it on an encrypted container. The installer lacks one such option, so what you have to do is to do a temporary install on a USB flash drive or an extra partition lying around, and then copy over that installation to the encrypted container when that is complete. And as you can see here, I have set up two disks. My main disk is 30 gig that I'm going to be encrypting, and the second one is I'm going to be assuming it's a flash drive, a 16 gigs flash drive that I've plugged into the computer. Now you need to go out to the Deepin's website and download the image, burn it to a USB, plug it into your computer, and launch. Now, here it only provides you with an option to go to the installer directly, but you do not have to do that if you don't want to. If you want, you can experience a live system, and you can do that by pressing Tab here, and be sure to set your locale. By default, it's set to Chinese. I'm going to be using EN_US for a US locale, and I'm going to remove this live CD installer entry. Let me zoom in here. And I'm going to be removing this live CD install entry. And press enter for the system to boot up. And there we go. Now, because I'm in a virtual machine, it tells me that I might not get a smooth experience, but I don't care. I'm going to just choose effect mode. And the desktop will load. And here it is. Here we have a live Deepin system available to us. Now go ahead and launch the installer, and you are presented with the installer. Now another problem with Deepin installer is that it does not let you install on a partition that is less than 16 gigs, but that can be modified by modifying the installation configuration file. So just go to another desktop by holding the super key and pressing right. There it is. And click on the launcher and type terminal and open the Deepin terminal. Now go ahead and launch an interactive root shell by typing sudo -i and then type nano or gedit if you prefer a graphical interface. I'm going to be using gedit just for the sake of this tutorial, and etc deepin installer.conf, and here it is. Now as you can see here, it's going to create a swap file, and the swap file is going to be 4 gigs in size, but that is too much. We do not need any swap space on that external USB flash drive. It's just for the testing, for a temporary install. So I'm going to be putting this value to false, as well as this, and I'm going to reduce the minimum disk space required from 16 gigs to 12 gigs so that we can install it on our 16 gigs flash drive. And then I'm going to modify this swap file size to just 512 megs and the partition to just 512 megs, so that if it decides to create one, it will not exceed that limit. And I am done with modifying. I'm just going to press Ctrl S for saving and close it. We do not need the terminal anymore, so you can just safely exit and go back to that desktop where the installer is open. So select your language, press next, and enter your user information. Press next, select your time zone, next, and here as you can see I have my main hard disk here that I'm going to be encrypting, but I'm not going to touch it in this installation. I'm just going to click on my external USB flash drive and click on start installation, and it will tell me what it's going to be doing on this to this disk, and I'm going to press continue and the installation will start. Note that this installation takes a while, probably 20 minutes, half an hour, so go and grab a coffee and find something to do until that is complete. And here we go, the installation is finished. So go ahead and click on Experience Now to reboot the machine and boot the test installation. Now you want to press F12 here, or any other key that is dedicated to bringing up a boot menu, and select your other partition if that lies on another hard disk, or you want to select your USB that you installed this test temporary installation to. Mine is the second hard disk, so I'm just going to be pressing 2, and here we go. Log in with your password. And there we go. Here's our temporary Deepin installation. So let's get to business directly. Just click on the launcher and type terminal. Launch Deepin terminal and get an interactive root shell by typing sudo-i. Okay, and then type fdisk dev sda. Now what I'm going to do is to create a GPT partition table on this disk because it lacks one, and I'm going to do that by typing G and pressing enter. Note that this operation is destructive. It will remove everything on this disk that I'm going to partition, so back up everything. And then I'm going to be creating an EFI system partition, a BIOS boot partition, a boot partition, and one last big partition for our encrypted container. The EFI system partition is for EFI installations. I'm going to be doing this for the sake of this tutorial. I don't really need to do this for this virtual machine, but if you are booting from UEFI, you need to do that. So N, first partition, first sector is the default. The last sector is 100 megs. And I'm going to change the partition type for that to 1, which is EFI system. I'm going to be creating another partition, default number 2. First sector is a default. The last sector is 32 megs, and it is for BIOS boot partition, which is type number 4 in this particular version of fdisk. Another partition, and it's going to be my boot partition with 512 megs of space, and one last partition to hold everything else. And I'm going to type W to write changes to disk, and it is written. Now, before you go into mounting and creating any encrypted container, make sure to open the file manager and disable auto mount, because it is a pain in the butt. If you leave it enabled, it will automatically mount every file system you create. So just scroll down, untick auto mount, and close. Okay, now create your encrypted container by typing crypt setup lux format -c and to modify the cipher. I'm not sure what kind of cipher it uses. That's why I'm going to be modifying it to ASXTS plain 64 with hash of SHA-512, and the device is dev sda4. Type uppercase yes and give it a password. Oh, lovely. One more time. Okay, and when that is completed, open the container by typing crypt setup lux open dev sda4, and the encrypted container's name can be vault, right? And give its password, and it is now opened. Okay, go ahead and create your physical volume on top of that encrypted container, because we're going to be using LVM to have multiple partitions with the same encryption, because it's convenient to do it like this. So pv create dev mapper vault, because that's where the container is open. Good. vg create to create a volume group on top of that physical volume. I would like a name for it. Deep. How about that? Dev mapper vault. Very good. And create your LVs, your logical volumes. The first one I'm going to be creating is for swap, and I want it to be contiguous, to be in a contiguous big chunk for the swap partition, right? So -cy-l for the size. I'm going to give it 1 gig. You might want to give it more on a real system. This is a virtual machine, so it doesn't matter really. With the name of swap volume group of deep. Very good. The next one is going to be for root partition, and I do not need it to be contiguous this time. I want to give it 20 gigs of space with name root volume group deep. And the last one is going to be for home, not contiguous, lowercase l this time, and because we're going to specify a percentage, 100% free, means whatever free space is available, give it to home logical volume, -n home volume group deep. There it is. Now it's time to create your file systems. The first partition we created was dev SDA1, and it's going to be EFI system. So I'm going to format it as FAT32 -F32 for FAT32. If you want to give it a name, do it like EFI, and dev SDA1 is the device. Lowercase labels might not work properly. Okay, we'll format it again. Uppercase label EFI. How about that? There we go. And format your boot partition as well. Note that dev SDA2 does not need to be formatted. Grub will take care of the formatting on that automatically, so no problems there. mkfs.extension2 for our boot partition. We do not need journaling for that. -m1 to dedicate 1% of reserved blocks to root, and dev SDA3. Very nice. And now we'll go to format the partitions inside the container. The first one was swap, so mkswap dev mapper deep swap. Next one for root partition, mkfs.extension4 this time, 1% reserved blocks, dev mapper deep root. And last one for home, mkfs extension 4, sorry, 1% reserved blocks, dev mapper deep home. And it is created. Now we mount everything under MNT. Mount the root partition first. Dev mapper deep root under MNT. cd to MNT and create boot and home directories. Now mount dev SDA3 in my case. Yours may vary under boot, under the boot directory, and create the EFI folder, EFI directory under it. So boot EFI, I can type today. And then mount the logical volume for home under the home directory as well. So mount dev mapper deep home under home, and mount the EFI system partition as well, don't forget that, SDA1 boot EFI. Oops, do not put a / on top of that. Very good. So now it's mounted. If we type lsblk to check if everything is mounted, we can see that our root logical volume is mounted under MNT, home is mounted under it. The SDA3 is mounted under MNT boot, and SDA1 under MNT boot EFI. Very good. So now we are ready to copy over the installation from this installation that we did over to the over to this encrypted container. So go ahead and install the rsync package, apt install rsync. Now I already did this tutorial once and it failed miserably, so I already have it installed. So apt install rsync, and go ahead and type this command to copy over all the files to this encrypted container. rsync -a for archive copy, HAX to copy over all the other attributes, -- no a time to not modify the access time on the files. Exclude some directories from being copied, like MNT, which is this one. Exclude dev as well, sys, and proc. Copy everything under root to this directory, which is mnt. Now this is going to take some time, so I'm going to be back when it's finished. Okay, so the copying process is now complete. Type sync to make sure that all the buffers are copied over to the disk, and when that is done, just type ls to confirm that everything is copied. As you can see, everything is in here. So we're going to create the directories we have not copied just yet. There were mnt, dev, and run. We had two more. We had proc and sys, but those required some special permissions. So type -m555 and proc sys. There we go. Now we have everything in here. All the directories are in here, as you can see. Now it's time to make some modifications to the system, to this copied system, to make sure that it boots. The first thing, of course, is to make sure that the container is opened upon boot time. So go ahead and type gedit or whatever editor you please. I'm going to type gedit just for the sake of this tutorial, be it easier. And etc crypt tab. There we go. Under target name, we're going to type vault, because that's what our encrypted container is named. UUID. I'm going to be specifying UUID. You should too, because if you plug in a new hard disk, it makes sure that the correct partition is selected, and you know, it prevents any disasters by mistakes of that kind. So to get the UUID, you just go to another terminal, get another interactive root shell, and type blkid. And this is the UUID for the SDA4, so I'm going to copy it using Control-Shift-C, and we were in gedit, and type Control-V to paste it in gedit. We didn't have a key file, so I typed none, and the only option we need to put here is lux. We're done with crypt tab, just save it and exit. And make sure to check what permissions the crypt tab file has. Okay, as you can see, it is readable only to the root user, which is good. But make sure to change that by typing chmod 600 etc crypt tab, so only root has the ability to read and write to the crypt tab file. Next thing is, of course, fstab, so type gedit etc fstab. And here it is. As you can see, it has the entry for our old installation, so we need to change a few stuff. The first thing is root partition, or LV for logical volume. And you don't need UIDs for this, because LVM is smart enough to select which one it is. Just type dev mapper deep root, and everything can be its default value. Next one is the boot partition, so boot partition, and this one you need UUID, so type UUID equals and go back to that terminal to the blkid and copy over the UUID for dev SDA3 or what your boot partition's name is, and paste. The mount point is boot, of course. The file system is extension 2. Options, we can just type defaults, and 0, 2 for some dumping and checking. Disable dumping, activate checking. Next one is boot EFI. Now, if you are using a UEFI, make this entry. If you are not, you can skip this. I'm going to be making this entry just to show you how it's done. EFI partition. So UUID once again, go back to the terminal, and it was dev SDA1 in my case. Copy, oops, Control V, and and the mount point was boot UEFI, file system is BFAT, and yeah, defaults for options and 0, 2 for dumping and checking. Next one is home, LV, and dev mapper deep home, mount point home, file system is extension 4. You can copy over the mount options for root LV here, and 0, 2. And last but not least is our swap. Dev mapper deep swap none mount point, no mount point, SW, and or swap, and the option is SW 0, 0 on both. I'm going to disable this UEFI entry because I'm not on UEFI system partition, but you can leave it as enabled if you wish, or if you're using a UEFI system. Okay, now that the FS tab is configured, you can just close it and prepare the environment for ch root. So do that by mounting all the virtual file systems that are necessary for a ch root system to operate. Mount --rbind, dev under dev, sys under sys, run under run, and mount a proc -t proc none proc. Okay, now prepare the environment for chroot by typing chroot.n-i. Home is the root directory. We're going to reinitialize the environment because some errors are going to be generated if you don't. But it's not dangerous to leave it as it is. Term is term run the bin bash with a login shell. There it is. And now we're chrooted. So just type update init ram fs-u-k all to include the crypt tab and fs tab into the init RDs. Now go ahead and install grub to your hard disk, or if you're using UEFI, install it to the EFI directory. I'm going to be showing you how to do it on hard disk, on this hard disk master boot record first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it on the EFI. So for hard disk, you just type grub install --recheck boot directory. It's not really needed really, but you can specify boot and dev sda. Just press enter and it will install it on the master boot record. Very good. Now if you are on EFI, you type grub install --recheck --EFI directory boot EFI, and you do not need to specify a hard disk, a master boot record or hard disk, because it will automatically install it to that directory. Okay, when that is done, be sure to generate a configuration for grub by typing update grub or grub-mkconfig -o boot grub.cfg, and yeah, I believe we're now done. So just sync the buffers to disk, exit out of the chroot, go back one directory, lazy unmount everything that is under mnt. This is a -l. Very good. And then deactivate the volume group, or deep, yep, and close the container. Crypt setup, lux close, vault. There we go. Everything is done, and go ahead and reboot your system. Now press F12 or whatever key that is dedicated to bringing up the boot menu, and select the first or the main hard disk that you want to boot Deepin from. So 1, and there we go. As you can see, it brings up the boot menu, and it has detected on another Deepin installation on that external USB. So I'm gonna press enter on the first entry. And as you can see, it provides us with an entry to unlock our disk. So just type the password for the disk. And there we have it. Our system ready to log in and use our encrypted LVM system with a very strong encryption and beautiful user interface. Just to check things, I'm gonna go to a terminal and type lsblk list blocks. And as you can see, everything is in here and is being used. Perfect, right? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Press that like button down below and subscribe to my channel. Do tell me if you have a special setup in mind that you are wondering how to do it, and I will make a video on that if that is possible.